All right, let's first talk about some of the rules, but instead of listing all the rules, let me solve a question. So put into x to the 8th power and y to the b form. Okay, and here the radical, okay, and y squared over square root of x to the 5th power. Okay. So the goal is to change this into x to some power times y to some power. How do we do that? That's the question. Okay. In order to solve this question, you need to know some logarithm exponential rules, and I guess the first question is, what is cube root of x in terms of x to some power? What goes in there? Do you know? Yeah.
X to the 1/3.
It's a 1/3 power, right? It's a 1/3 power. Okay. And what about square root of x?
1/2.
This is a 1/2 power because it's really, there should be this 2 there if you want this to behave like all the other radicals. But because the square root is the one that's most widely used, when there's this 2, they just don't write it and assume that there's a 2 there. Okay? All right. Now, the next question is, then, how can you rewrite cube root of x divided by square root of x? This is x to the 1/3 power over x to the 1/2 power. And what's the rule for division? This is the exponents subtract, right? If you have the same base and you have 2 exponents and you're dividing them, you have to subtract the 2. So that's the rule, 1/2. Right? And then how do you add 2 fractions? You need to make common denominators, so it's 2 over 6 minus 3 over 6. Which gives you x to the negative 1/6 power. All right, that already is a lot closer to what we want to do. So let's come back to our original question and let's try to replace part of our equation, part of this formula, with this x to the negative 1/6 power. So I'm going to replace that by x to the negative 1/6 power and y squared to the 5th power. Now we have to use another rule where it says if you have a parenthesis with some number, how do you compute this with these exponents? Yes?
Multiply.
You have to multiply, right? So it's negative 1/6 times 5. This is multiplied. And y2 times 5. And therefore you get x to the negative 5/6 and y to the 10th power. And that's the final answer.